Hey guys, welcome back to the Sports Hub. I'm your host, Connor O'Gara, joined by Nathan Hart. Nathan, we had week 2 of high school football last weekend, and it was another rough week for Kearney High. Kearney High loses 35-18 to Norfolk. Not exactly the second half they were looking for.
Yeah, for a Kearney High young defense, they just got smacked by an aerial assault from Norfolk, and maybe just the matchup that just wasn't a good one last week. This week, a much better matchup for Kearney. They're playing the Lincoln Southwest team that dropped out of the top 10 last week after a loss. They're replacing almost every skill position from last year, similar to Kearney, and they don't have Josh Banderas as a linebacker staring down the Kearney quarterbacks. Last week, Lincoln Southwest lost 21-3, struggled on offense. Maybe a little bit of an easier test for the Kearney Bearcats defense against an offense that's still trying to find its own way in Lincoln Southwest. The Kearney High offense is young, getting better. You can see glimpses of success. This is just a young team. The 2-quarterback system, the wide receivers, the running backs, Matt Kester with his punt returns and kickoff returns. There's glimpses of this team getting better, and I think this week may be another good test for them, a chance to get a win against a team that is also really similar to Kearney and as a young team looking to get better. Kearney Catholic, though, they had a much better home debut last week, and Connor was at that game.
Yes, Kearney Catholic actually got off to a very, very rough start in that game. Offense couldn't get anything going. Big story of that game was, is Thomas Connely going to be the guy at quarterback? Last year, of course, the all-region running back and started the game at quarterback, but the Kearney Catholic coaching staff had to make a switch at quarterback in the second quarter, brought in John Masker after Connely got off to that rough start, and Masker pretty much righted the ship. He had a touchdown pass to Blake Holtmeier, touchdown pass to Bryce James, and really established that quarterback position. Thomas Connely went back to tailback, had a touchdown right away for the Stars, which is what they needed. And they're going into a game this week where they're going to need some sort of consistency out of the quarterback position. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with this new system. Masker certainly proved that he can throw the ball and be that guy. Whether or not the junior can step up and do that on a consistent basis, that remains to be seen. So Kearney Catholic has a question to answer now at the quarterback position. They might even try and mix that up against St. Paul. It might be a week-to-week thing. We're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen with this. But if the defense forces 5 turnovers like it did last week, the offense is not going to matter that much. This is a team that really defensively is where they get their mojo going, and they're going to look to do the same against a St. Paul team that struggled, lost 34-13 to O'Neill last weekend. So really what we're going to see out of Kearney Catholic, it's a mystery right now. We don't know that quarterback spot, what they're going to do. Like I said, just going to have to wait and see on a week-to-week basis. So Kearney Catholic, of course, got the big win last week. Ravenna also got a big win last week. Nathan, Ravenna will take on a Hastings St. Cecilia squad that got off to a 1-0 start. Ravenna took down Superior 49-6. Really, this team is going to look to put up a same sort of effort this week.
Yeah, Ravenna, it'll be our first glimpse of this team this year, and they put up a big score maybe against a weaker Superior team. Right. But this is a team that has a good offense, good returning players, led by Tom Sachowski, the wide receiver. He scored five touchdowns last week. Wow. Different ways, through the air, through the ground, 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he tacked on a punt return for a touchdown. And then you have Blake Cremosta at quarterback. These guys combined for over 800 yards last year. Just a good, powerful offense. A younger line, but these guys led the team last week. They're going to face a Hastings St. Cecilia team that also put up a big score last week. So it'll be a good test. Hastings St. Cecilia is ranked number 7 in last week's football ranking. So this is going to be a good test for Ravenna's offense. I had a chance to catch up with Ravenna coach Mark Hudson for this week's edition of the Coach's Corner.
Week 1, I think we did some good things, but just like any coach, there's a lot of things we need to improve on. Superior's kind of in a tough spot right now in their rebuilding process, so they played hard, but there's a lot of things that we were able to expose that we won't see against a better team. So we kind of got that one under our belt, got some rust knocked off, but this week the season really starts for us. We just want our guys to go out there and play football and have fun and give the best effort they can. And I think sometimes early in the season you get down a little bit, or maybe you got a daunting schedule or an opponent that's just got more talent than you, and we want to fight through those things. I think we can play with anybody on our schedule as long as we are an effort first type of team. So we're rewarding everything this year with effort. We're not going to look at the scoreboard no matter what happens. If we out-effort the opponent, we're going to get rewards for that.
We'd like to thank Coach Hudson for taking the time this week. And another game we'll be at is Harvard at Shelton. Shelton put up a huge score last week.
A really big score. They put up 80 points last weekend, which is, I know they faced maybe not a great Hampton team, but still, you put up 80 points against anybody, that's still impressive. 68 points in the first half. They played with a running clock the whole second half. Really, this team pounds the ball. That's what they do. They have a double wing system, and all they do is run, run, run. Luke Glenn had 36 touchdowns in this system last year. This year, this system run by Taryn Hawks at quarterback. He had 3 touchdowns last week. David Jimenez, Jared Molbach also got into the action. They had 2 touchdowns apiece. Here's a stat for you. This offense ran for 472 yards in only 19 minutes. So that just shows you what this offense is capable of. This offensive line goes after it. They go to work. Simple as that. They're going to look to shut down a Harvard team, a D1 Harvard team that scored 51 points last week. Christian Martell, Colton Ives, those are their 2 key guys that they want to be able to shut down. Derek Ellis and Jared Molbach and Nate Molbach will need to get in the backfield and slow down their running game. Expect a lot of running out of this game. Simple as that. There are going to be a lot of points scored, a lot of offense. But this is Shelton's only D1 opponent this year, and this is a semifinal team last year. So they're going to continue to look to prove that there's no drop off from that team last year.
You want Friday night football? We got Friday night football. We're not only going to be at these games, we're also headed to Ogalalla at Gibbon.
Yeah, the old Buckster is going to be there. He's going to be reporting from that one. He's going to see a lot of running. Gibbon beat Wood River last week 33-15. They rushed for 216 yards behind Gareth Stroh, Quentin Rockefeller, who was on our all-name team. Braden Snell had a 54-yard touchdown run, and this is what this team tries to do. They really pound the ball. They get after it on the ground. Defensively, Ryan Newar is pretty much where this defense starts and stops. He had 15 solo tackles, 22 total tackles last week. Picked off Wood River twice last week, so they're going to look to force turnovers against an Ogalalla team that really struggles to score. This is a team that struggled to score last year, had single-digit offensive efforts in 6 games last year. So they're coming off of a 14-13 loss to Broken Bow at home. So they're going to be looking to avenge that. This is a close game last year. Gibbon only won this game 13-7 last year, so points could be at a premium. Both teams are going to try and control the line of scrimmage, obviously, and control that clock. Time of possession could be a big factor in this one. Whether or not Gareth Stroh can really maybe help this team out through the air is going to be the determining factor as to whether or not Gibbon can get off to another good start. They got off to a good start last year. Going to look to do the same thing this week. So we got tons of high school football. Make sure you're looking at the Hub website. That's kearneyhub.com for all your updates on Friday night. We're going to try and have those results for you. And we got a good one Saturday too. We got a quick turnaround Saturday morning, but we got UCLA is coming to town.
Yeah, lots of coffee for the drive to Lincoln, and a big game Saturday morning.
A stop in York too. Definitely
Yes.
A stop in York. We will be doing that. Yeah, we have a good one. It's going to be number 16 UCLA is going to be giving the Huskers their first test of this season. Big non-conference showdown, and really the storyline going into this week was all about the revenge factor. It was whether or not Nebraska was going to have a little bit of extra motivation after losing 36-30 last year at UCLA, but those headlines were kind of taken away.
Yeah, there was a tragic accident at UCLA when the receiver Nick Pasquale was killed, hit by a car, and that just kind of set the mood on Monday's press conferences. Coach Polini, that's the first thing he talked about, and Jim Mora, his press conference, you probably saw that, and a reporter just being rude answering the phone while he was talking about Pasquale, and
amateur hour.
just a tough week, and they'll definitely be honoring him. Both teams will be at the game. But for the game, it should be a good one, even if they're not using it as motivation. The players definitely do remember it. Safety Corey Cooper said it just left a bitter taste in his mouth all offseason. Offensive lineman Jeremiah Searles just said that was the longest trip home. These guys remember that game that they were supposed to win last year.
Yeah, this is a huge test for them. This could end up being their best game of the season. I mean, really, this. I know it's a non-conference game. It doesn't have maybe necessarily those Rose Bowl implications, but this is a huge game on their schedule and one they've been looking forward to for a long time. And
UCLA's offense with Brett Hundley and running back Jordan James, they put up 600-plus yards last year, and that Nebraska game against Wyoming is probably not a – man, they're going to have to step it up if they want to slow these guys down. UCLA is much better than Wyoming, and Nebraska hasn't shown much yet that they can stop a good offense, and they'll have to do it this week to keep it close.
Defense that makes a stop or two could be the winners in this one. So should be a good one Saturday. Definitely going to want to check that out. Make sure you check out our Husker Rundown. That's going to give all of our post-game reactions. We will be live at Memorial Stadium after the game on Saturday.
A team that didn't do so hot.
No.
UNK Lopers.
Oh, man. That was a rough game for the Lopers. Season opener lost 58-13. 58-13. To Washburn. This week they will look to bounce back against Emporia State, and that's not a good matchup for them either. Last year they allowed 58 points. That's rough. Simple as that. Buck is going to be making the trip out there to Kansas. Daryl Morris was not exactly happy with his team's performance last week.
Yeah, if it's according to Coach Morris, there's nowhere to go but up. He said last week was the worst performance he'd ever seen from his team. So, yeah, nowhere to go but up for the Lopers.
Yeah, whether or not they can shut down Austin Willis, Emporia State receiver, had 216 yards receiving last week. They got off to a good start with a 43-14 win against Fort Hays State. Abe Clinch's Fort Hays State, by the way. He's not playing for him yet, but Abe Clinch's Kearney Catholic Fort Hays State. And yeah, really, what UNK is going to be able to do against this team, we might see a similar result to last week. I don't think anybody would be too surprised if we saw this as a one-sided affair. So Loper is going to look to maybe get some sort of offensive and defensive momentum going. Husker is going to look to try and get a big win. We have a ton of hub games going on this weekend. Should be a fun one. Another busy weekend. That's just the way fall is.
Not much sleep for us reporters.
No, sleep is overrated. So make sure, like I said, catch us on the Husker Rundown after the Nebraska game on Saturday. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, at CAG O'Gara, at NMHart, at HubSportsBuck, HubSports_Buck. I say that on purpose now, really I do. I know he's got it in there. I just like to give him a hard time. So for Connor O'Gara, Nathan Hart, this has been the Sports Hub. We'll see you next week, guys.